Statistics are in everything, from sports science to meteorology, and statisticians have an incredible role to play in building the theory, as well as applying the models that can change lives and the world. Join us in Portland, Oregon, as the world's leading statisticians come together for the Joint Statistics meetings, right here on JSM TV. It's time for our final episode of JSM TV, coming to you from one of the world's largest gatherings of statisticians and data scientists. This is such an incredible event. It brings together world-renowned experts with up-and-coming college students, all coming together to try and solve some of the world's biggest problems. Today, we're going to look at how statisticians have an impact on a wide range, everything from sports science to climate action. Here's what's coming up.
Forensic science is fabulous because you can have an immediate and real impact on society.
In the studio, we hear how statisticians are working with forensic scientists to help avoid wrongful convictions.
The joint statistical meetings is really important because it provides our members, statisticians and data scientists, an opportunity to network, learn, and grow.
And we'll hear from some of JSM's founding partners about what makes this such an important meeting.
I think biostatistics and data science is the backbone of research.
And we'll take one last trip to some of the leading groups in statistics research across the country. Whether you're here in Portland, Oregon, anywhere else in the world, there are lots of ways to watch JSM TV. Watch it on screens around the venue, in your room in select Portland hotels, via the JSM website, or on our YouTube channel, including extended versions of all our film series features. And make sure to connect with us online. Time now for our first interview, and it's time to go for the gold. As statisticians gather here in Portland for the most important event in their field, a very different event is currently underway in Paris. We're talking about the Olympics, of course, but perhaps they're not quite as removed as you might think. To talk us through some of the very latest in sports analytics, I'm joined now by SMU's Monnie McGee and Guanyu, chair of the ASA Statistics and Sports section. Thanks so much for talking with us.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you. Guanyu, let's start with you. Sports and statistics, it goes hand in hand. We have some of the greatest minds here at this event. How much of an impact do statisticians here have on sports?
Yeah, that's a great question. Since nowadays you know that now is a data science age. So in the sports, we gather a lot of different data sets. So nowadays the statistics play a very important role in the sports industry. For example, the initial idea maybe people can come up with is to do the play evaluation. So that is maybe in some Reddits we can find some very hot topic. Who is the best player in the history of the soccer? So that is all. Our statistician can make some decision for this kind of topics. So that is the first player evaluation. And also this can help maybe the team to recruit their good players from the market or pick some good player from the college. So that's player evaluation. And second thing I'm coming up with is some injury recovery. Since you know every sports, the player will get some injuries, so that we can apply our method to help them to get the recovery. So that is nature application of traditional biostat method, like the survival analysis or recurrent event. That is very important.
You have a very exciting session coming up here at JSM where you've brought together some of the greatest minds in sport analytics. Give us a preview if you would.
So my session is called Going for the Gold. It's about Olympic sports. And the sports that we have featured are volleyball, gymnastics, track and field, and curling. So we have a winter sport thrown in there also. And so I really am passionate about the sports that are quote unquote non-traditional sports that stay away from, most of my analysis has been on sports that are not hockey, football, baseball, basketball, or American football. So those are the ones that I really enjoy. And so that's one of the reasons I put this session together. And also it's quite timely, as you mentioned.
Yeah. And how are statisticians involved in the Olympics in particular?
Well, the U.S. Paralympic and U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee has a chief statistician and a group of statisticians that work with them to help with player selection, for example, or analysis of the data. I've actually talked with that particular person about trying to do things like create the best possible list of dives for a particular diver, those kinds of things. So yeah, they are heavily involved in trying to gather data and analyze data.
Watching the sports with a different eye, a different framework. Guanyu, how did you get into this field and what do you find most rewarding about it?
Yeah, I think first I'm a super fan of the sports. I love to watching a lot of different sports games like the soccer, basketball, American footballs. And I came from Florida State University, so we are the huge sports university. So we have very good football teams in the Florida State. So that I like the sports. So that I think that, and also I find that there are some. Previously, I did some research on the spatial temporal data analysis. And also I find that in the sports, there are nature spatial temporal statistics data. So we get some different location of their passing location and have their goals location. So that is nature spatial temporal data. So why not I do this kind of sport data analysis, since that is what the thing I like.
I love that. That's great. Monnie, what area of sports are statisticians involved in that might surprise people?
I think there are two things that come to mind. One of them is that the methodology to be developed. As I mentioned, there's so much data out there, and the data captures so many things that we weren't able to capture even, say, 20 years ago. So there's a lot of methodology to be developed in dependent data analysis. I mean, statisticians are always assuming that observations are independent, but in sports you have a lot of dependencies to deal with. And also, as Guanyu has mentioned, the spatial temporal data analysis as well. So that might be surprising that there's a lot of methodology to be developed, not just for sports, but because of sports maybe, and applied to other things.
What a fun conversation. So great to meet you both. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Let's head now to the University of Kansas Medical Center, where their biostatistics and data science team are working to make an impact in everything from traumatic brain injury to breast cancer prevention and more.
The Department of Biostatistics and Data Science is the home within the School of Medicine of biostatisticians and data science that help us meet the mission, both the education, research, and service missions of the School of Medicine and the institution as a whole. It houses almost 30 faculty members, almost 80 staff with graduate students, and we house, as of the fall, we'll have 5 graduate programs.
The statistical field has seen a big growth in Bayesian adaptive designs, and in particular their application to clinical trials generally. And we've responded to that by developing our own Bayesian adaptive designs methodology and applying them ourselves within our department.
So the types of projects that I get most excited about are these medical student projects, which are increasing in frequency, and what we've determined is probably optimal to partner the medical student with one of our biostatistics students, and then they already function, they do team science.
The future looks like we're going to be more expanding. You know, you've got AI, you've got machine learning, you've got all these different areas that are coming about. And so the future is going to be staying up to speed on these different methods and also evaluating those methods.
From wildfires to tropical storms, the science tells us that anthropogenic climate change is the cause. But what can we do about it? Well, that's in the data too. To tell us how, I'm joined by Rice University's Kathy Ensor and Clemson's Whitney Huang. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great, Pat.
Yeah, it's such an important topic here. So many people are very passionate about this. Tell us how you've seen through the years statisticians and the impact they can have on anthropogenic climate change.
So the statistics profession has provided a leadership role in understanding this critical problem for the world. And it's not just statisticians in the US, it's statisticians all over the globe. And developing the methods, integrating the data and the climate models to really understand critical answers to how is the climate changing for our planet.
Whitney, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I would say we actually contribute quite a lot, but actually we need more statisticians to contribute that, and especially given the fact that I think the most authoritative part of the climate change report is IPCC, so we actually need more statisticians to actually get involved to be, because in the past we don't have many like lead author on the IPCC report, which I believe the statistician can actually greatly contribute on that.
Let's talk about the range of the data that is being gathered, and what are some of the challenges, and how are statisticians working through that?
Yeah, so I think that's the most exciting and interesting part, that a statistician can make a huge contribution, because actually for the science underlying the climate research, there's a wide range of different kind of data. So they have output from climate model simulation. They have observation. They will also have a reanalysis, which is sort of a combination of observation and the model. And the statistical nuance is what statistician can contribute, because we can we can use the technique from the spatial and spatial temporal to make the better picture about the underlying science. So that is where the most interesting, and I feel that's the most exciting aspect that statistician can contribute.
Kathy, your thoughts on some of the challenges? And
So these are large-scale models, and so we, as statisticians, we need to be working in the space of large-scale models. If you think about looking all over the globe and how the globe changes, that's a lot of data points, but our discipline has developed the methodologies to integrate the information across all these different spectrums of data, and I think that's just so important, and we also come up with uncertainty measures about what we don't only give an estimate of what's going on in a specific location, but what is the uncertainty around that estimate.
What kind of advice, Kathy, would you have for young students coming up to maybe say, consider our field of expertise here?
There's many ways that you can have an impact in statistics, and understanding the climate and the changing climate is an important component. But also, if you bring that down to the community level, that would be also a place where statisticians can help. We've got to learn to live with this changing climate. And so much of my work focuses on mitigating the challenges that we're facing, and what can we do at the local level to achieve that.
Such an important topic. Thank you both so much for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you.
The United States has the highest rate of incarceration in the Western world. And this large scale does mean a significant numbers of wrongly incarcerated individuals. Statisticians can help, though. And to tell us how, I'm joined now by Iowa State's Alicia Caraceri. Thank you so much, Alicia, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Tell us why wrongful incarceration is a statistician's problem.
So 1 in 20 individuals that is incarcerated is actually innocent. And so one of the reasons is faulty forensic science or exaggerated claims from forensic analysis that sometimes are presented in court. And so statisticians can help by working to develop better methods for analyzing forensic evidence, coming up with probabilistic approaches to forensic evidence, and there's many different ways we can contribute to reducing the chances of a wrongful incarceration.
How long have statisticians been focused on this? And tell us what happened in 2009 that really impacted this line of work.
Forensic sciences is really interesting. It's been traditionally a very insular discipline where most of the forensic methods that we're using today are developed in crime labs and by law enforcement. The exception was the forensic analysis of DNA. This is when statisticians started to get involved in forensic sciences. And the 2009 report that the National Academy of Sciences put out was kind of like a summary of all that questioning that had been happening. And it laid bare the deficiencies and the gaps in the statistical foundations of most forensic disciplines. And so that was a really important report because it sort of opened everybody's eyes to the fact that statisticians had a lot to contribute. Mm-hmm.
What makes working with forensic data both challenging and interesting?
I work mostly on what's called pattern comparison disciplines. And that would be things such as latent print analysis, comparison of handwritten documents, footwear prints, ballistics, all this kind of things. You can think of those data as data that can be represented as an image. And so much of the work is coming up with methods to compare images, one of which may be very contaminated by noise and background effects and partially observed prints and so on. So it's really very challenging.
Can you give us an example of an interesting solution you found?
Recently, with a couple of my collaborators, Heike Hoffman and Susan van der Plas, we published a paper on the proceedings of the National Academies that takes a very, very simple concept in statistics, which is the issue of multiple comparisons and how that erodes overall confidence in a decision, and applied it to the analysis of 2 marks that examiners sometimes carry out, and argue that the confidence with which these examiners reach a conclusion should be probably much lower than it actually is. I'm giving a talk today, one of the medallion lectures. It'll be an overview of forensic sciences and statistics. So if you're interested, go. The website of the center I direct, www.forensicstats.org, has a lot of material and a lot of data and a lot of code and a lot of links to other sites.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful to talk with you.
Thank you so very much.
Incredible work there with forensic scientists already making a major difference in people's lives. Now, to our final feature from across the country, it's time to visit UC Irvine, where a holistic approach is allowing students to learn to better tackle real-world problems.
In today's day and age, data is growing at a tremendous rate. And in order to make sense of that data and really gain knowledge from it, one must be trained both in computational skills as well as inferential skills, what I would consider to be the 2 foundations of data science. At UCI, from our very start as a department, we believed in this mission, and that is why we are located inside of the School of Information and Computer Sciences.
So our long-term goals are continue supporting our students through education in improving their technical and applied skills in data science, and to produce exceptional talents, and to improve diversity in the workforce.
At UCI Statistics, we really believe in training students to think about where that data will take us, how we can use that knowledge to further progress society. We're always kind of on guard to look at where the next steps of inferential statistics needs to be.
We sit down now with another leader in statistics making an impact on the wider world. DuBois Bowman is Dean of the University of Michigan School of Public Health and an expert in the statistical analysis of large, complex data sets. DuBois, thanks so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell us how you went from your statistical training to where you're at today and kind of any lessons learned you want to share with the audience.
My pathway to leadership has been one that has been gradual and has seemed to evolve sort of naturally over time. I started my faculty career with all the ambitions that faculty usually join academia, in establishing my research and developing courses and teaching and advising our students. And over time, I began to get exposed to some leaders locally at the university. And then as an associate professor, I was tapped for an emerging leaders program that really allowed me to get a sense of how things work and function at the university. Ultimately, I ended up leveraging some of the lessons learned to launch and pitch a concept for developing a research center, and I developed the Center for Biomedical Imaging Statistics at Emory University and was the inaugural director. And things really have progressed from there, and went on to become a department chair of biostatistics at Columbia and now dean at the University of Michigan School of Public Health.
So impressive. What do you think it is about statisticians that make them exceptional leaders?
I think statisticians have a lot of qualities that translate naturally to leadership. Many statisticians, in addition to the core theoretical training, are involved in a lot of collaborations. And we go into situations where we may not be the subject matter expert in the room, that sometimes dealing with complex concepts. And so the ability to listen, to understand the essence of a problem, to frame the problem, to try to think about gathering data to make evidence-based decisions, ultimately to make decisions, and then to communicate those effectively to different audiences. So those are things to me that many statisticians do naturally in the practice of statistics, and I think also those qualities translate very well to leadership.
Sounds like you had a wonderful experience when you were tapped for kind of a leadership. They saw great things in you and helped develop you. What type of advice do you have for other young people, especially if they want to go into leadership in academia?
Two pieces of advice that I would pass along. One is, don't think about leadership as positional, right? Find ways in whatever position you're in to contribute to your organization, to your institution, to your department. And the way I usually phrase that is just lead from where you are. If you see things that you think could work better, raise them and be willing to dive in and do the work and come up with concepts to improve them. And in doing so helps you develop leadership qualities. It also helps others take notice of your ability to make such contributions. And then the second piece of advice is just network. We're here at the joint statistical meetings, and the ASA, the American Statistical Association, is a great place to develop relationships, and those also contribute, I think, to opening up opportunities for leadership.
Thank you so much for talking with us. Congratulations too on all your success in your career.
Thank you, been a pleasure.
From one leader in statistics to more, let's hear from some of JSM's founding organization's leadership on why JSM really is such an important place for their members.
I'm Ghosh-Dastidar. I'm a statistician at RAND, a nonpartisan organization in public policy and decision making, and I'm the president of the American Statistical Association. The joint statistical meetings have been around for a really long time, and they're the largest gathering of statisticians and data scientists under one roof. There's such an opportunity to get together, exchange ideas, present your ideas, and get feedback. And I think there's no other such big tent in the nation or in the world. So it's unique in that way. The joint statistical meetings is really important because it provides our members, statisticians and data scientists, an opportunity to network, learn, and grow. So that really is the value to our membership of the JSM. The value of JSM is that there's so many statisticians and data scientists, really busy people, to stop everything that they do and assemble under one roof for these 5 days. And during that time, there are a lot of sessions and technical talks where people get to share ideas, exchange ideas, and get feedback. There are lots of meetings and gatherings to further the mission and vision of the American Statistical Association. And also for individuals, it's an enormous opportunity for networking and for students to meet mentors and also to look for jobs and get career opportunities. ASA really is a collection of its members and showcases the work they do and the impact they have. So under one roof, just to give you an example, there'll be 44 sessions at one time. Each session will have anywhere from 3 to 5 talks, and each of those talks have impact on people's lives and real problems in society. So it's an enormous amount of contributions that statistics is making, and JSM is a place to showcase that work.
It really is such a great meeting to come to. But let's not just take it from leadership. We caught up also with some JSM attendees to hear from them about how they're making an impact and why JSM is the place to learn to do it.
lot of my work is somewhat confidential, but in general terms, there's a lot of big data out here, right? We can store amounts of data that 20 years ago we wouldn't have been able to imagine storing. And so we have traditional statistical models that have been used for decades or 100 years, and we want to know how can we apply those models on massive data sets where computation is maybe no longer feasible. Can we split up the data set? Can we make it smaller and compress it? Can we do other things to make it computationally more manageable?
We're tackling many real-world problems. One of them is that we're trying to assess whether biomarkers in prevention studies can be obtained in a cheaper way, more convenient way, or in a more expensive way.
I work on statistical climate modeling, so like spatial analysis of different climate effects. So one of them is sort of looking at how loss of sea ice is driving changes in bottom temperatures, and that affects forage fish, like small crustaceans in the ocean, and how that affects different fish that we live on. So there's like $1 billion industry of fish landed in Seattle and multi-billions of dollars of fish that we all eat, and those are being impacted by climate change.
It gives me a chance to interact with other people in my field. I am in a very small town in Texas, College Station, where I really only see people in my department and that's it. And so this just gives me a chance to meet other people, see up close what they're doing, not just people in College Station or in Texas, but people all over the world, and see if there's anything that they're doing that my work can be applied to, or vice versa.
I've been coming to all these sessions where people look at similar problems, and in terms of calibrating different measurements and how they assess the relationship between the biomarker and study outcomes in the same context.
I was invited by a great spatial statistician. I'm giving a talk later today. I actually just released a textbook, Spatial Temporal Models for Ecologists, and natural resource management is sort of a small field, and so we have to borrow techniques from other parts of statistics.
That's the end of our very last show here at the Joint Statistics meeting in Portland, Oregon, and we've covered it all in our very first edition of JSM TV. From interpretable AI to health data privacy and forensic science, we've covered it all. Our content lives on beyond JSM. You can check us out online for anything you might have missed in the next coming weeks and months. And we'd love to hear from you if you've enjoyed the show. Make sure you reach out. We hope to see you next time in Nashville. Until then, take care.